So the shorter timeline, the aggressive timelines typically backfire. The simple reason is that the FE exam and even the PE Power exam preparation is not a sprint, it's a marathon. You can start out really heavy. You can start putting in 6 to 7 to 8 hours over the weekend and maybe 2 to 3, 4 hours over the weekdays in the goal of crushing this exam within 2 to 4 weeks. But typically, burnout is going to kick in, not necessarily because the amount of effort you're putting in, but once you start taking a stab at this exam, you're like, how do I basically cover entire undergraduate engineering coursework in such a short period of time? Then you start hopping around and then finding resources, free resources, paid resources. You're like, there's so many options. How do I select the program? And identifying where to spend your time, effort, and money. So the burnout, not necessarily just because of the sheer content that needs to be covered for the exam preparation, but also because of the frustration that kicks in because of the overwhelming nature of this exam. About 30-40% of the students in my program come from word of mouth referral. So they've actually heard or seen some of their colleagues, some of their friends pass this exam, or they might see success stories on LinkedIn pop up on their profile, or stories on Reddit, or reviews of my books on Amazon and whatnot. So that social proof, social validation process becomes a little bit easier. But my recommendation is that if you are going with an aggressive timeline, set yourself up for success. You can set yourself up for success by clearing your schedule a little bit. If you are in the season of your life where you already have many things on your plate and then you're going in with an aggressive timeline, most likely you're going to fail. Skipping weak areas. So if you're working with aggressive timeline, students tend to cut corners, right? I'm going to skip this, skip this, skip this, and that is a recipe for failure. Poor time management on exam day. Because of the aggressive timeline, you might not have appreciated the amount of respect, the amount of time that you need to spend on each and every question or the different types of questions. That will result inevitably on a very poor time management on the exam. Not all questions on the FE exam are made equal. So when I say 3 minutes per question, there's not a timer running per question for 3 minutes. There's a clock that gives you 5 hours and 20 minutes. And it's your own assessment as to decide whether I can knock out this question in 1 minute. There will be potentially questions that can be solved within a minute. Especially conceptual questions can be answered pretty easily if you know what they're asking. And they're impossible to answer if you don't know what they're asking. So, but at the same time, not all questions are made easy. That's true for both feelectrical and PE Power. If you're doing fault analysis on the PE Power exam, especially unsymmetrical faults, you are bound to slow down. You have to slow down. If it's a per unit system question that is pretty involved, you are supposed to slow down. But if it is a conceptual question, which is sort of having multiple layers of different concepts, if you know it, you can tackle it. If it is a codes and standard problem from NEC, NESC, you are smart with your research, you're smart with your keyword selection, you may be able to solve a question just like that. But if it is an NEC question that is asking you, let's say, cable sizing, you need to refer to 2-3 different tables in NEC, then it becomes challenging. So you won't be able to understand it and appreciate it until and unless you've basically gone through the entire content. And that takes time. And the shorter timeline doesn't really give you that opportunity to sort of have the concepts sink in. Retakes are costly, $225 as far as I know for FE Electrical, and $400 for PE Power. That's just the cost in terms of dollars. In terms of the demotivating effect, the demoralizing effect that they have on the psyche, on your, questioning your abilities, that can be even more devastating. Okay, so it's important to remember that when you're preparing for these exams, amount of money that you're investing in terms of using the resources or the exam registration and everything is one portion. Then there's amount of physical, mental capital that you're investing. And then the other aspect is that failed attempts, unless you have nerves of steel, typically will result in a setback. And if your why is very strong while you're taking this exam, you can overcome it. But it would be outright denying that failing is a good experience. It's a good learning experience, but if you set yourself up for success, you can get this one and done. If you're new to this channel, please consider subscribing. On a weekly basis, I'm creating content for FE Electrical and PE Power exam preparation. I also discuss topics related to electrical engineering with a focus on power systems engineering. If you'd like to learn more about my feelectrical and P-Power exam preparation programs, please visit my website, studyforfe.com.